Hello interwebs, and thanks for tuning into TradeChat. My name's Panzer, and today I'm going to be beginning my Mists of Pandaria Talent and Specialization Class Changes video series. This is episode 1 of 10, and today we'll be focusing on Death Knights. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to rate it thumbs up. In case you guys didn't know, in Mists of Pandaria, they will be untying specs from talent trees. Currently, the way it works is there are 3 talent trees, and depending on where you place your talent points determines what spec you are. In Mists of Pandaria, they'll be totally separate. First, you'll choose a specialization, and when you choose that specialization, as you level up, you'll get specific abilities that will only be given to people of that specialization. Separately, there'll be a talent tree. All 3 specs will choose from the same talents in the same talent tree, and those talents will accommodate their playstyle based on which ones they choose. As a Blood Death Knight, there are certain abilities that you'll get that other specs of Death Knight will not get, such as at 55 you'll get Bloodright, Vengeance, and Veteran of the Third War. At 60 you'll get Heartstrike. At 62 you'll get Scent of Blood. At 63 you'll get Dark Command. At 64 you'll get Rune Tap and Improved Blood Presence. At 65 you'll get Rune Strike. At 66 you'll get Blood Parasite. At 70 Will of the Necropolis. 74 Dancing Rune Weapon, and at 80 you'll get your Mastery. Mastery for a Blood Death Knight is Blood Shield, which what that does is whenever you heal yourself while in Blood Presence by using Death Strike, 50% of the amount healed will turn into a damage absorbing shield, and each point of Mastery will increase the shield by 6.25%. As a Frost Specialized Death Knight, you'll also get some abilities that other specializations of Death Knight won't get. For example, at level 55 you'll get Blood of the North, Icy Talons, Frost Strike, and Howling Blast. At 58 you'll get Obliterate. At 63 you'll get Killing Machine. At 65 you'll get Pillar of Frost. At 70 you'll get Rime. At 74 you'll get Might of the Frozen Waste, as well as Threat of the Thessarian. Probably said that wrong. And then at 80 you'll get your Mastery, which for a Blood Death Knight is Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart increases all frost damage by 16%, and each point of Mastery will increase the damage by 2%. Unholy Specialized Death Knights will also get abilities that other Death Knights won't get. For example, at 55 they'll get Master of Ghouls, Reaping, and Unholy Might. At 58 they'll get Scourge Strike. At 60 they'll get Shadow Infusion. At 62 they'll get Festering Strike. At 63 they'll get Sudden Doom. At 64 they'll get Contagion. At 65 they'll get Unholy Frenzy. At 66 Ebon Plaguebringer. At 70 Dark Transformation, and at 74 Summon Gargoyle. Of course, at 80 they'll get their Mastery, which is Dreadblade, increasing all shadow damage by 20%, and each point of Mastery will increase shadow damage by 2.5%. Once you choose your specialization as a Death Knight, you'll be able to choose one of 3 talents from each of 6 tiers. The first tier of Death Knight talents, you have Roiling Blood, Corpse Explosion, and Outbreak to choose from. Roiling Blood causes blood boil to trigger pestilence whenever it hits a diseased target. Corpse Explosion detonates the nearest disease-ridden corpse, causing AoE shadow damage within 15 yards and also affecting all targets with blood, plague, and frost fever. What constitutes as a disease-ridden corpse is any recently deceased enemy who is inflicted with your disease upon their demise. Outbreak instantly affects your target with blood, plague, and frost fever and has a 1-minute cooldown. Tier 2 of the Death Knight talent tree allows you to choose from Lichborn, Anti-Magic Zone, or Bone Shield. Lichborn causes you to become undead for 10 seconds, and while you're undead, you're immune to sleep, fear, and charm effects. This has a 2-minute cooldown. The Anti-Magic Zone protects you, your party, and your raid members from 75% of all damaging spell effects for 10 seconds or until it absorbs too much damage. This has a 2-minute cooldown. Bone Shield is a 6-charge shield that absorbs 20% of all damage for 5 minutes or until the 6 charges are consumed by damaging attacks. The third tier of Death Knight talents allows you to choose between Death's Advocate, Chillblade, and Asphyxiate. Death's Advocate limits movement impairing effects so that they can't reduce your movement speed to below 75% of normal when your unholy runes are depleted. Chillblade adds a chill effect to Frost Fever. It slows targets by 50% for 10 seconds. It also causes Chains of Ice to immobilize targets for 3 seconds. Asphyxiate replaces Strangulate, and what it does is stuns the target for 5 seconds. If the target is immune to stun, they'll be silenced instead. This has a 1-minute cooldown. The fourth tier of the new Death Knight talent tree allows you to choose between Death Pact, Pact, Death Siphon, and Vampiric Blood. Death Pact has a 2-minute cooldown and it drains energy from your undead minion, causing you to be healed by 25%. Death Siphon consumes a death rune and deals shadow damage, as well as heals you for 75% of the damage done. Vampiric Blood increases your maximum health by 15% and your health taken by 25% for 10 seconds. The additional health is lost when the effect expires. The 5th tier of the Death Knight talent tree allows you to choose between Blood Tap, Runic Empowerment, and Runic Corruption. Blood Tap causes Death Coil, Frost Strike, and Rune Strike to generate charges, up to a maximum of 6 charges. Blood Tap, when used, will then consume 3 of the charges and convert one of your depleted runes into a death rune. Runic Empowerment gives you a 45% chance to randomly activate a depleted rune whenever you use Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike. Runic Corruption increases your runic regeneration by 100% for 3 seconds every time you cause damage with Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike. The final tier of the Death Knight talent tree allows you to choose between Gorefiend's Grasp, Remorseless Winter, and Desecrated Ground, probably the 3 most interesting abilities in the talent tree in my opinion. Gorefiend's Grasp can be cast on an enemy target or a friendly target. All enemies within 20 yards of the target will be afflicted with shadow damage and will be physically pulled to the target. Remorseless Winter is an AoE ability affecting all targets within 10 yards, afflicting them with frost damage every 1 second for 8 seconds. Every time this ability ticks, the enemies will also be slowed by 15%, stacking up to 5 times. On the 5th tick, all the enemies will also be stunned for 6 seconds. The final ability in the Death Knight talent tree is Desecrated Ground, which desecrates the ground within an 8-yard radius below you, protecting you from any CC abilities and dealing shadow damage to all enemies every 1 second for 10 seconds. If you'd like to know more or actually see the Death Knight talent tree, I have linked all of this in the description below. Today's question of the day is, as a Death Knight, which of the final talents would you choose and which specialization would you choose? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're thinking about that, check out today's screenshot of the day. And it looks like that's my cue, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. Check back for all the other classes, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.